The Bulls are back. I was getting the footage for this video, the background gameplay. I was recording it, and then all of a sudden, I get a little notification on my phone. DeMar DeRozan is a Chicago Bull. What? Honestly, I'll be honest, I'm probably the last one who saw this coming. DeMar DeRozan to the Bulls. I didn't know where he was gonna go, cause I just didn't see a team where he would fit perfectly right now. I thought about the Lakers, but then again, the spacing on that team would be even worse, so it wouldn't really make sense. And although DeMar said he would take pay cuts to go to a team like that, they already were signing other players. They're already trying to fill the roster, so it wouldn't make sense for them to go to the Lakers anymore. But the Bulls. First off, let me talk about the other stuff that happened yesterday. It's around 4:01, 4:02 p.m. Free agency started 2 minutes ago, and we already got our first deal. Lonzo to the Bulls. And I'm pretty sure it's a sign and trade. Pelicans got back Tomas Satoransky and another guy in a pick, I'm pretty sure. So that's something. Lonzo to the Bulls, a team that needed a point guard. And now Lonzo is there. He could help Zach LaVine. He could help Vucevic. Kobe White is a scorer, but he's not exactly a pure point guard. And so Kobe White is probably going to be their scoring option off the bench, while Lonzo is their playmaker who starts. So that was the first deal I saw, and that was already interesting. Now we got Lonzo to the Bulls. That was already a good deal. Then we get news, or just now I got news that the Bulls, in a sign and trade, acquired DeMar DeRozan for Thaddeus Young, Al-Farouq Aminu, and I think a first-round pick. Wow. If they had some way to keep Thaddeus Young, that would be crazy. But of course, they'd have to give something back. And DeRozan is a Chicago Bull. This is pretty much 2 confirmed All-Star and 1 almost All-Star, all on the same team. Of course they're gonna be really good, because if you put 3 pretty much All-Stars or All-Star caliber players on the same team, they're definitely a playoff team. I'll say they're definitely a playoff team. What seed will I have them being? I'll say that in my predictions after free agency is over. But I think when it comes to who won the trades in the Pelicans deal, the Bulls won that trade easily. Bulls get an A grade, and Pelicans get I guess a B-, because losing Lonzo is bad, but at the same time, I don't think Lonzo wanted to be in New Orleans like his dad LeVar said. And yeah, so Lonzo was gonna leave eventually. She didn't know who it was to, and it became the Chicago Bulls. And now the DeRozan to this Bulls trade. This one makes more sense, I guess, because if you're trying to build a team around Zion, I guess like Tomas Satoransky, it wouldn't make as much sense. But for the Spurs, they're trying to tank this year, and they do have DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker and Keldon Johnson and Jakob Poeltl and those young guys who could maybe have a nice young team to maybe be a potential 9 or 10 seed. But I think they're probably trying to go for a good lottery pick. Let DeRozan go. Let him try and win a championship. And honestly, I say I'll give the Bulls a grade of, for this trade, I'll give the Bulls an A-. Actually, no, I'll give them an A+. I'll give them an A+. And then I'll give the Spurs a decent B+. Because they did get Thaddeus Young, and Thaddeus Young is really good. So I'm guessing the Spurs' upcoming lineup is going to be something like DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, maybe Keldon Johnson, considering they lost Rudy Gay, Thaddeus Young, and Jakob Poeltl. And honestly, for a rebuilding team, that's not bad. Also, Derek White off the bench, who's also pretty good, so, you know. Now, the one problem I do see with the Bulls, or really the two problems, because they did have to give up Thomas Satoransky and Thaddeus Young in the deal, is the bench. They do have Patrick Williams and Kobe White who could possibly come off the bench, considering they didn't give up Lauri Markkanen. Unless they do trade Markkanen in the coming days or weeks, then they're probably going to have Lauri Markkanen at the power forward, DeRozan small forward, Levine shooting guard, Lonzo point guard, and then of course Vucevic center. But Patrick Williams, Kobe White, and then that's pretty much it off the bench. They lost Daniel Tice to a different team. You know what? Let me bring these up real quick. Yeah, so Daniel Tice to the Rockets. They also did lose Al-Farouq Aminu, who is a decent defender, but they did get Alex Caruso, who could be their shooting guard off the bench. So the main bench players I'm thinking about who come to mind right now are Kobe White, Alex Caruso, and Patrick Williams. And I mean, defensive-wise, that's actually really good, but other than that, it's kind of sad, because they don't really have much else there. But this team is still really good, and although the defense and bench might need a little improvement, they could definitely be a good playoff team. So far the Bulls know what they're doing. Moving on, the other team that I really want to talk about today, the Heat. The Heat are looking like contenders. Kyle Lowry in a sign and trade. We don't know the full details of it yet. It looks like it's going to be centered around Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa. And the Raptors are probably going to trade Dragic. First of all, let me talk from the Heat side. The Heat are doing a lot this free agency with getting Kyle Lowry, re-signing Duncan Robinson, getting PJ Tucker. So the Heat, in my opinion, right now are looking like contenders, and they're probably going to be a top 4 seed in the East. The East is actually looking really competitive. I'm not going to lie. The East is looking great. When it comes to those top few teams, like, I cannot wait for this season to start. But then, on the other side of it, the Raptors. And the Raptors. They did draft Scotty Barnes. I'm just basing it off the stuff they did in this free agency. All they've done, other than the Kyle Lowry trade and drafting Scotty Barnes, is re-sign Gary Trent, which is a good move, and signing Sam Dekker. Sam Dekker. As of now, as of 2:56 p.m. on August 3, 2021, the Raptors have only made 3 moves this whole offseason. And I guess probably they're gonna try and just to relax and be a chill team. But yeah, I don't know. I do like the fact that they could get back Precious Achiuwa, but if they don't get back Precious Achiuwa in that trade, then that really is bad. But if they do get back Precious, he can run the center, Boucher off the bench. They could trade Dragic to a team like the Mavericks, who has expressed interest in him, and they can maybe get whatever they get back in return. They could use this season, or they could just get back picks. Who knows what they're gonna do? All I know is in Masai I trust. Moving on. Well, not moving on yet. I'll give the trade grades. I'll give the Heat a decent trade grade of. I'll give them. This was a really good trade for them. I'll give them an A trade grade. And for the Raptors, it depends on if they get Precious. If they get Dragic back and just Dragic, I'll give it a C. But if they get back Precious, I'll give it a B. So it looks like they're gonna get back also Precious Achiuwa, because they wouldn't just give up Kyle Lowry just for Dragic. So Precious, if they do get back Precious, but they probably will, I'm gonna give this trade a B+ for the Raptors. So the Heat did win the trade in my opinion, but it's not a terrible trade for the Raptors if they do get Precious back, considering Precious is a nice young center who could help in their rebuild, considering they were in desperate need of a center this season. Moving on to the Spurs. No, not the Spurs. Which team? The Mavericks. The Mavericks, they got Tim Hardaway Jr. They re-signed him. That's really all I had to say. If they get Dragic, it's also a good move. And I think they made one more move that I'm forgetting. It's off the top of my head, but I cannot remember what it was. Does not matter because, yeah. The Heat also, I forgot there was other stuff that the Heat did. The Heat re-signed Duncan Robinson. So, yeah, the Heat are looking like a contender right now. They did make the finals in 2020. And people thought they had a chance of doing it again last year, but then they got eliminated in the first round. So that was kind of, but at the end of the day, they'll be back this year. And the future is looking bright for the Heat. Considering they were able to keep Tyler Hero, they were in the Lowry trade, because they did not want to give him up, but Masai settled for Dragic and the other guy, Precious. And Bam is still there. And now if you look at the way they match up with the super teams, you got guys this team defensively is looking nasty. Yes, you do have Duncan Robinson, who isn't a great defender, but PJ Tucker, Bam, Kyle Lowry, and Jimmy Butler, pretty much when you look at this free agency so far, you got one team that upgraded heavily defensively and another team that heavily upgraded offensively. Both teams, though, are going to look great. Now, moving on to the smaller deals, we got Mike Conley re-signing to the Jazz, Jared Allen re-signing to the Cavs, Will Barton re-signing to the Nuggets, Derrick Rose re-signing to the Knicks, Chris Paul re-signing to the Suns, Gary Trent re-signing to the Raptors. So a lot of re-signings. And the Lakers, I guess, building around their big three. They do have they have LeBron, they have Westbrook, and they have AD, and they're surrounding them with shooting, which is a really good idea. They signed Wayne Ellington, they signed Melo, they signed a big who could he's probably gonna start. I'm thinking he'll start, in Dwight Howard. And yeah, so the Lakers are actually looking decent. They also signed Trevor Ariza, who's another shooter. And although they did lose Caruso, I still think that the Lakers are building around this nice this nice old team. And hopefully they can win a championship. Who knows? Moving on, Rudy Gay also went to the Jazz. And that is also really interesting. And Patty Mills going to the Nets. Just guys who are kind of older going to different teams, and teams trying to upgrade their supporting cast. Now moving on, there are a lot of guys who signed extensions, like Steph Curry. There's also Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic. I'm pretty sure Trae Young also signed one. And then also some of the guys re-signing, like Cameron Payne, TJ McConnell. A lot of re-signs. We did, and Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel. I also got to mention that. So the Knicks are looking like they're going to be back in the playoffs next year. And that's a good thing, because the Knicks were actually a good team. They did have a new signing of Evan Fournier, who also fits their team, so I'm thinking their starting lineup, it's probably going to be something like it's going to be Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and if Mitchell Robinson is back, then Mitchell Robinson at the center. Or if he's not, then Nerlens Noel, who is also a really good option. So the Knicks are also looking like a nice playoff team. The East, I think that's going to be the title of this video. The East is looking crazier and crazier. Because you see the Nets how they are. You see the Bucks how they are. Nets and Bucks at the top, of course. Then you got the Sixers. I forgot to talk about them. They got Andre Drummond now. And Drummond is going to come off the bench, but I don't know how that team chemistry is going to work with Embiid and Drummond on the same team. That's going to be really interesting. Who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully they work it out. Simmons, we haven't gotten any word of him being traded yet. And it looks like he's probably going to stay. But you never know. There's still a lot of free agency left. I'm going to talk about the last few things and then I'm in the video. There is stuff like Nick Batum did re-sign to the Clippers, which I also thought was interesting. Jeff Green goes to the Nuggets, and if they can get Jamal Murray back soon, that team is looking like a dangerous team in the West. We haven't really seen the West teams doing much other than the Lakers. Most of the West teams have been chill, but the East has been going crazy. Kelly Olynyk goes to the Pistons, and I think, oh yeah, Jimmy Butler signed the extension, and Chris Paul re-signing to the Suns. I think those are all the major deals. Also, Bobby Portis re-signing to the Bucks for less money. I heard that he wanted to stay there for loyalty, and he could have gotten more money somewhere else, but he chose to stay to the Bucks. He played well this postseason. If I were him, I would probably give my money somewhere else. But then again, the Bucks are a championship team, and if he wants to win, then he's going to stay with the team that just won a ring. And now, I think this is going to be the last thing I talk about. Oh, wait, no, I almost forgot. Kent Bazemore to the Lakers. I keep on... There's two other things I want. Technically three. Devontae Graham sent to the Pelicans in a sign and trade. I don't exactly know what the Hornets got back, but the Pelicans, they were set on getting Kyle Lowry. When that didn't work out, they were set on getting Lonzo back, and then when that didn't work out, they had to settle for Devontae Graham. And Devontae Graham, he can score, and he's a shooter, so I guess surrounding Zion with shooters does work, but at the same time, Devontae Graham is small, and he's not Lonzo, he's not Kyle Lowry, so it's not like they did make that Valanciunas trade, which could make them better, but I don't know if they're gonna be that much better than how they were last year, based on the moves they're making so far. And now moving on to the last two things I want to talk about. One, Spencer Dinwiddie to the Wizards. I think this is the great fit for Dinwiddie. Now they're going to have Aaron Holiday off the bench, Dinwiddie starting with Beal at the shooting guard. So this Wizards team is looking good. They're still looking like a good, decent playoff team who could probably be a 7 to 9 seed, I'm guessing. So I'm not going to make I will make a season predictions video, but with all my award predictions and everything, but yeah, that's going to come later on. And the last thing, Kawhi Leonard, making us all wait again, just like he did back in 2019. After Kawhi won the 2019 championship, I'm pretty sure he waited until day 7, day 6, day 8, one of those later on days of free agency, to tell everybody he was joining the Los Angeles Clippers. We might see that again, so that could mean Kawhi is going to a different team. Because Kawhi he's, I think, the best player. He was starting off the best player in free agency, first of all. And I think he's the only star player left who hasn't been signed yet. Because DeRozan was signed, Chris Paul was signed, Dinwiddie, all those guys were signed already, but Kawhi is still in free agency. So, Kawhi could be going to a new team like the Mavericks, and that would definitely be great, but I guess I just want to see where he goes. If he goes back to the Clippers, it makes sense, but then the Clippers are screwed because I don't think Paul George is bringing them a championship alone, and they traded away all their picks in the next 7 years for Paul George, and also, yeah, I don't think it's going to work out that well. And then also, I think Kawhi, if he goes, he could go, Kawhi leaving is definitely bad news for the Clippers. Kawhi leaving any team is bad news, unless he just gave you a championship like he did to the Raptors. But I think that the Clippers are going to suffer a lot more from it because the Raptors had picks in the future, the Spurs had picks in the future, but who doesn't? The Clippers. So if Kawhi leaves and the Clippers just become a medium team for the next few years, they're going to become the new Brooklyn Nets. Because they trade away their future for stars who could help them win now, and when they don't win, the stars leave or the stars just get worse, and now they end up in mediocrity or end up being a bad team for the next few years. So the Clippers might be the new Nets, and the Thunder might be the new Celtics. So we'll see what's gonna happen. I think the best option for Kawhi would be going to a team like the Mavericks or the Warriors, probably the Mavericks though. And that would make the most sense. But who knows what's going on in Kawhi's robot brain? We're gonna find out soon enough. And yeah, maybe by the time I upload this video, he's already signed somewhere. Who knows? Anyways, I think that's where I'm gonna end it. If you enjoy, like, subscribe, share, comment down below any tips, tricks, or topics that you want me to talk about. And yeah, that'll be it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.